Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of the Backyard Sportscenter podcast. Today, it is me and Wizard again. Today, we are going to be going over some of the standings and results from the Backyard Baseball Online League. There's two leagues this season, the Humongous League and the Junior League, because just like we had to do for the IBBL, there was so many people that wanted to sign up. So we had to, in order to make it so that all the people that signed up that wanted to could play, we had to have two different leagues. So that's what we did. Humongous League has a lot of veterans that have played in earlier seasons, or players that had experience in the IBBL as well. There was several RBL players that were making their online debut, which we'll kind of get into a little bit. And then the Junior League was for a lot of players that were newer to online. And that league's a little bit smaller. 24 players in the Humongous League and 18 players in the Junior League. But still, both leagues are a lot of fun, keeping track of all the games, and a lot of fun. I know, Wizard, this is you're one of the IBBL players making their online debut. So what do you kind of think of, what's your perspective from being a rookie in online?
It's been definitely a challenge. I think being an RBBL transplant, like there's a few of us, like you mentioned, it's been fun. And I think just kind of adapting to the different play styles and knowing what you can get away with versus a user rather than an AI has kind of just been a bit of a learning curve. But it's been fun. And we've had some success, which I'm sure we'll get into. And but other than that, it's just it's a completely different game. It's super fun, and if any RBBLers are listening and have any interest, I highly encourage you to at least get it set up, scrimmage a little bit, see if it's for you, and hopefully we have you in the future.
And that's the one nice thing about online, is that you don't have to be in any leagues or anything to just play around with it and hey, I want to play a random game or whatever, and you can just do whatever you want with it. This kind of like slightly irrelevant to the actual league, but through the Prince Rupert and the online, if you want to try out, let's say you haven't tried out playing with like George Coleman before, and you wanted to see how he works, instead of having to make a new file and do all that stuff, you can just plug in the team to the website and play an online game and kind of get a decent feel about how the kind of the user side of the player is.
That's a good point. And it takes, like you said, with that Prince Rupert and the online capabilities, it takes it that step to where you can use those generics. I know that y'all have added that since I'm not sure when, but that's a great point. Rather than having to mess with snail memes, which is a wonderful resource, we thank you, Jibbo. It's a good little one-off to just get a quick glimpse at some of those generics.
24 players in the Humongous League, which was split up into the backyard division and the front yard division. So starting with the backyard division for week 1. The first game was Jaker, rookie for online, just finished up his rookie season in RBBL as well. Started to get the hang of it a little bit towards the end of the season, but this was his first week for the online, and kind of got thrown right into it playing the last season's runner-up in Killer Bat. And that game was 3-6 at Parks Department number 2. So definitely was a little bit closer than the score necessarily said, but definitely put up a good outing in his first online game, especially with such a good opponent.
Yeah, a true legend. Moving in to another legend, second game, looking at Orlando Stars making a come back here to the online scene. Probably looks a little bit different from back in the day, but loses in a narrow one to Trick-or-Triz, 1-0 at Tin Can Alley. And I think week one, part of that's just going to be getting a feel for what it looks like and feels like now. Generics obviously being in play now, and we'll get to, later on in their appearances here. But that was a decent first week matchup for them.
Yeah, for sure. Both Killer Bat and Orlando Stars played in online and had many fierce matchups way back in the day. So having both of them in the league is really great to see. The next up was Silver Bullet RBBL transfer as well. Had a good season for RBBL. Made some good improvement. Played Hines in this one. Big City Stadium. Hines was the Pirates last season. Made the playoffs and I believe lost to Aloba. So really good coach there. And won 5-2.
Next game, we got HC, took on Bobby Jones, a.k.a. Bobby Bones, who is another RBBL transplant, I think in his first season in online. Isn't that right, Nate?
Yep.
And so HC takes that 1-3-1 at Steel, a road game for HC, but comes away with the victory nonetheless.
Yeah, and HC is also a rookie, but they've been doing extremely well. Next up, we had Visery. Played off and on since season 0, I believe, and then had a rookie Scatty doing pretty well. Scatty pulling off the upset 2-1 at Super Colossal Dome with bigger fields. So that's the one thing with these online matchups. You never notice how they're going to turn out. One home run one missed catch in the outfield can be the difference.
Yep, and it's always a challenging opponent, so good win for Scatty there. And then the last backyard matchup we had was your Royals at home at Cement Gardens taking on Matitude, who was an RBBL rookie this year, but came over from the BBOL scene. And you put up a strong score, best output in the backyard there with a 9-5 victory.
Yeah, I piloted that one. I think Liz hit like a grand slammed on the line or something in the alley.
Love those alley shots.
Yep. Yeah, and then moving on to the front yard division, we had It Stoops. That was a rookie playing Lobo, who was the champion in season 1. So getting thrown right into the thick of things. Lobo, ironically, winning another 1-0 game or 1-run game. Be really interesting to see how many times Loba has won by 1 game since his history of playing. I'd have Visery look that up or something.
They'll have it, but being able to edge out those close ones, I think, is something you can't teach, and it's just grit. So next matchup, we had a freak show 1-0 win at King Pepsi's Diamondbacks playing at Cement Gardens. It says here it was a forfeit in the top of the 4th. I'm not sure what happened because that was 3 weeks ago, probably a disconnect or something. Pepsi's always got technical difficulties. You'd think a teenager would know how to work a computer, but freak show, a proven player, and comes out with a 1-0 win there against another proven player in King Pepsi.
Yep. Next up, we have Epstein. It was a rookie facing another really tough opponent in Willigan. Had the best record in their conference last season, tied with Killer Bat. So Willigan's another tough week 1 matchup for new player versus proven veteran. Held in there though. Only was a 1-0 game at Steel Stadium. Those games at Steel seem to be a lot less scoring and online than necessarily we would tend to expect, at least being all the RBBL folks.
That offensive field, sometimes I guess maybe I don't play particularly well there, so maybe that's part of it. Next, we had my matchup, which was DLW's Yankees coming to play my Wombats at Super Colossal Dome. We took that one in our first BBOL game, 6-0, and we were happy with that first week. We got the jitters out of the way. There were some nerves with it being against another person for the first time, but happy with the performance.
Next up, we have Swilly, played last season as well. Had one of the better offensive performances of this week, winning 7-0 at Ekman, which is really impressive to put up that many runs at such a big field. Against Spenk, who is a rookie, had a bad output in this one, but we'll see how he does for the rest of the season.
And the last front yard matchup from week one was Rajas taking on Personizel and getting a 2-1 victory at Ekman. I was very intrigued by Raja's draft strategy, which was let the admin draft his team, prove that they can win with a team that wasn't drafted by them. And I think that they will be tough knowing that.
Yeah, we weren't kind of expecting necessarily to have to draft an entire team, but that's what he wanted, so we tried to do it the best we could. But Brajas is a veteran. He went to the finals in season 1, so definitely a proven player, as well as person is a really, really great veteran as well. So that does it for week 1. Moving on to week 2 for the Backyard Division. Killer Bat at Trigatriz. I believe that was the pseudo match of the week because there were some technical issues that was going on. And Killer Bat won that one 5-1 at Tin Can Alley over Trigatriz.
Killer Bat moving on to 2-0. Next we had Jaker bouncing back from his loss in week 1 to Killer Bat with a win on the road against Orlando Stars. Big win given the legend of Orlando Stars. Obviously, again, there's probably going to be a little bit of getting back in the saddle with them, but a good win for Jaker to move back to 1-1.
Next up, we got Bobby Jones and Hines at Big City Stadium. Bobby pulled off his first career BBOL win against Hines and the Hornets, so that was a good job. Bobby's a great player, so glad to see him get on the W.
Yep, great dude. Speaking of another great dude, my man Silver Bullet, he hosted HC. So HC took care of those Cubs in a mercy rule shortened 3-inning game. And so Silver just taking some time to adapt to the BBOL scene, but gets an early shower on that day.
Next up, we had my game against Scatty, 5-3. This should have been a loss, but I got extremely lucky because I forget who exactly the first baseman was, but there were some errors going on, and the first baseman dropped the ball, and I think that allowed Pete to score or something like that, or someone to score to tie it up. And then in extra innings, Iceman Parker did his thing.
We need to get the same person who was photoshopping the heads on the award show people, probably 8s. We need Parker's head on the Arnold Schwarzenegger Mr. Freeze from the Batman Beyond movie. I would love to see that. That's what I want to see.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So Nate's Royals moved to 2-0. Next, we have Vis putting up another 1-run performance, but edging out a victory in week 2 at Matitude at Steel Stadium. We've got another 1-0 result at Steel. And so Matitude, tough loss for him at home there, but Viscery moves to 1-1 with a 1-run output. So hard fought either defensively or on the mound there from the Reds.
Yep, that's it for the Backyard Division for week 2. Moving on to the Front Yard Division for week 2. Loba versus King Pepsi. Pepsi on off the victory, 5-3 at Cement Gardens. That's a really good win for him, especially against a really tough opponent in Loba. And that was his first career BBOL victory for Pepsi. So congrats to him.
Yep. And then next matchup, we move into It Stoops visiting Freak Show at Tin Can Alley. Freak Show handling business there with a 7-1 victory. And so that's a Freak Show 2-0 start to the season.
Next up, we have your game in week 2, Willigan against Willigan. I know you guys had some technical issues trying to get it. I don't know what was going on that day when we were trying to do the match of the week, but we did finally get the game in, and I believe that was the walk off from Mary, I believe, right?
Yes, it was. It was. I don't know if maybe we took some of that momentum. He was up 2-0 when we took a break. We came back and edged out that victory. I don't know if it was my fault, but the one thing I changed and have been doing since was I put the original .he0 file and B file back into Baseball 01. I don't know if that matters at all or not since it's run through Scum, but I haven't had issues since then. So that's what I've been playing as.
Yeah, we don't exactly know what the issue is. That might be an issue, but I don't know necessarily why that would do anything. But it's definitely a possibility.
Right. No.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's worked.
Yeah.
Whether it is or isn't, if I hold my my head the right way. But yeah, so good win for us. Next matchup was DLW bouncing back from his week 1 matchup against my Wombats, taking a 2-1 victory against Epstein. Epstein, his second 1-run loss of the season to move him to 0-2. So tough start for Epstein, but 2 hard-fought games. Odds are in their favor to bounce back eventually.
And next up, Person Izzle putting the smackdown on Spank 13-0 at Ekman. I don't exactly know if this was necessarily played at Ekman because it says game was incorrectly played away, so possible this might have been a different field, but still a very, very good offensive output by Person Izzle in this one.
Yeah, definitely a great bounce back for PZ to move to 1-1 on the year to that week 1 loss. Last game of the week, we got Schwilly moving to 2-0 with a 2-0 victory over Rajas at Playground Commons. So Schwilly handling business for the second week in a row, and not quite as convincing of a victory as week 1, but still gets the job done against a tough opponent, and that does it for week 2 of the Humongous League.
Yep, moving on to week 3, we had the matchup that we've been waiting for 20 years to see. Killer Bat versus Orlando Stars was the match of the week. Replay is on our YouTube channel if you want to check it out. Killer Bat taking this one 3-2. I know, I think Pablo had a clutch home run in this one, and then there was, but Killer Bat came out on top, just barely squeaking it out 3-2.
It was a great matchup. Anyone listening that didn't get to see it, I highly encourage you to go check it out. It was a fantastic game. Next matchup we have was Trigatriz with his first non-1 output of the season, getting a victory against Jaker, who might have still been riding high in his week 2 win versus Orlando Stars. So Trigger goes into Jake's home at Playground Commons and takes care of business 4-2.
Next up, we got Hines versus HC. HC taking this one 3-0 over Hines at Ekman, and HC is now 3-0 after this one. So whatever, something's working. Maybe it's Lee Wayne.
Yeah, maybe. Spoiler alert, it is.
Yeah.
Next matchup, we got Bobby Jones, Bobby Bones, one of our RBBL compatriots, with an 11-0 victory against Silver Bullet at Playground Commons, where Silver Bullet plays his home games. 2 weeks of back-to-back double-digit losses for Silver Bullet at home, where in week 1 he puts up 2 runs on the road. So maybe Silver Bullet will find more success on the road, but another tough loss for him in week 3 to move him to 0-3.
And next up, we got Mattitude exploding offensively for 11 runs at Super Colossal Dome. It's kind of interesting how that result kind of happens, especially if you'd think that if that's Steele, he'd be able to score more runs, but nope, 11 runs. I think he's got a lot of backyard. His entire team is basically backyard kids and pros. With the exception of Jomar, which is an honorary backyard kid anyway.
Mm.
But Mattitude pulling off the massive win 11-4 in this one.
And the last backyard matchup of the week was your Royals going on the road to the Sandy Flats of Visery's Reds, edging out a 2-1 victory. Looks like Ivan King did bring his swim trunks, Nate.
Guess he did.
That's got to feel good. Vis with another 1-run output, 3 weeks in a row. Vis is playing well defensively and on the mound, but just has not found enough offense to get more than that 1 win in week 2 so far. So a big win for you there on the road.
Yep. And that does it for the Backyard League. Front Yard League matchup for week 3. Loba versus Freak Show. Loba taking this one 2-1 at Cement Gardens. Another 1-run victory for Loba in a matchup of veterans from last season. Both coaches made the playoffs, so this was another great matchup.
Next, we have King Pepsi and his Diamondbacks taking on It Stoops. And King Pepsi goes on the road and takes this one by a score of 10-2. A great offensive output by Pepsi. So after a week 1 performance of 0, he's starting to find his stride a little bit with a 5 in week 2 and a 10 in week 3. So King Pepsi moves to 2-1 with the victory on the road.
We got Willigan putting up 9 runs at Parks Apartment to DLW's 2 runs. Willigan showing his muscles here with that scoring 9 runs, and I believe that puts him at 2-1 on the season up to this point as well.
Yep, good win from old Farmer there. Next matchup is going to be my Wombats traveling on the road to face Epstein's Twins. We had quite a good offensive output this week. Put up 10 there, had a few home runs, and things just bounced our way. So moved to 3-0 in our inaugural season and get a good win on the road there.
And next up, we got Rajas winning 16-1. I'm not sure if this was a mercy rule game or not, but scoring 16 runs at Ekman, that's a really, really great score. Rajas putting up RBBL like offensive output in this one.
And then the last game of week 3 in the front yard is Schwilly hosting Personizzle at Parks Department number 2. Personizzle coming off a huge 13-run output in week 2. Only manages to find 3 runs in week 3 against Schwilly's Cardinals. Schwilly takes this one 7-3 to move to 3-0.
And that does it for week 3. Moving on to week 4. Killer Bat beating Hines 5-1. Hines, it seems like that has just have a really tough schedule, having some really good opponents to go against. And Killer Bat keeps just putting up the W's and moves on to 4-0.
Just steady performances there. Next, we've got Jaker hosting Silver Bullet at Playground Commons. Playground Commons is also where Silver Bullet plays his home games, but doesn't lose this one by as much as he has. Week 4 a little bit better, only 4-0 loss there. So Jaker's A's take the win over the Cubs. So Jaker has a good bounce back there after his week 3 loss to Trigga.
Gaddy beat Trigatriz at Tin Can Alley 4-0. Don't remember too much about what happened here, but Scatty gets the win, and believe that's his second win on the season.
Next, we had a big-time matchup at Big City Stadium. We had Visery traveling there to face Orlando Stars Phillies. And Orlando Stars maybe finds his stride a little bit, or their stride a little bit, taking this one 9-7 against Vis. So Visery, with his first non-output of 1 on the season, doesn't pitch it or defend it as well, and takes this loss 9-7. So Orlando with his first win in the BBOL. Congrats on that. And Vis with a good output, but to no avail.
Next up, we had my matchup with Bobby, 6-0. Got the bats going in this one. Had some good hits. I know. I think Pete scored an early run, 1-0, and then through like 4 innings, it was really close, and then just opened it up a little bit for the end. Ivan had the game of his life with like 7 strikeouts or something as well. So that was our best overall performance so far this season.
And Royals keep rolling. So speaking of keeping rolling, HC travels to Steel to take on Matitude. Matitude fresh off that 11-run output in week 3. Doesn't manage to put up any runs in week 4. HC takes this one 1-0. A low output from HC. Was it a solo shot by Leah Wayne? I don't know, but I would believe it if you told me it was. So HC still undefeated. Matitude with a tough one, losing that one 1-0.
Another tough one. Loba versus Willigan in the front yard division for week 4. Loba putting off another 1-run victory against Willigan. So a tough one for Willigan, but that's just what Loba does. He wins 1-run games.
Good teams win 1-run games, Loba. Next, we have Epstein. Epstein getting off the schneid against It Stoops at Super Colossal Dome. Epstein goes on the road, takes this one 3-0, throws up goose eggs against Stoops, and gets their first win of the season. And you said that Epstein's a rookie this year, right, Nate?
Yep.
So congrats on your first BBOL win in week 4, Epstein. Hope the successes continue to come.
Next up, we had Pepsi scoring 8 runs to Spank's 4 runs. So Spank was able to score some runs in this one at Cement Gardens, but Pepsi and his 8 runs were just a little bit too much, and Pepsi keeps on rolling 3-1 so far on the season.
And next, we've got Schwilly, who is continuing to find success in this front yard division with a 2-0 victory on the road. Takes on Freak Show's Expos at TCA. Freak Show with tough matchups in week 3 and week 4. Loba in week 3 with a 1-run loss, and then a 2-run loss to Schwilly in week 4. So Freak Show proven player. Sure, things will look up, but Schwilly takes this one 2-0 to move to 4-0.
Next up, we had your game Wizard against Personizal 2-0. I don't remember exactly what happened in this one, but maybe you can remember anything of what caused you to pull out on top of this one.
So Personizal has a really good team. They might have out-hit me. They're going to find success in this season, but we had a Sonia Hagen 2-run shot. That was the difference maker, and haters will say that I should have taken Vlad, but we all know the power of Sonia, so happy to have her, and we keep rolling 4-0 thus far.
Ace Wilson.
Unanimous Ace Wilson, Sonia Hagen. So last matchup of week 4, we've got Rajas taking on DLW at home. Rajas comes away with a 7-0 victory, and they just they're finding good outputs. Their worst of the season against Schwilly. So their only loss thus far is against Schwilly, who obviously is 4-0, and so a good week from them.
Yep, so that does it for weeks 1 through 4, the results. Take a quick look at the overall standings. Now, if you are kind of listening to this, some of the results are in for week 5. So if you're looking at the spreadsheet right now, not every game will be for 4 weeks, but currently, as everything stands right now, you have a 2-way tie for first place with HC and Killer Bat, and then the Royals are in 3rd place, followed by a massive, basically, or almost a between like 4 and 11 is almost tied, or basically, so whole bunch of mess. If you love chaos, this is what you like to see. Maybe we'll have the 7-way tie for playoffs or something.
Yeah, what I love about it is you've got, you three HC Killer Bat both 5-0, you at 4-1 at the top, and then 4 through 11 all have the possibility to be 2-3 after week 5, and that just makes the playoff picture really interesting. I know we're a ways away from that, but it just kind of means that this division, is still wide open, and even SB down there at the bottom, we don't know. Throw a second half together, you never know.
Yep, you never know what could happen. Figure something out, get some runs on the board, get some some defensive alignments, and you'll be right back into it. Front yard division, looks like that you are the only undefeated team at this point, Wizards. So you're the top in the front yard division, followed by Pepsi, Swilly, and Loba all tied at 4-1. And then you got Rajas at 3-1. And then Wooligan and Freak Show tied for the last playoff spot at 2-2.
Yeah, it looks like we've got quite a few incomplete matchups here. I'm sitting there at 4-0, but still have yet to play my week 5 matchup, who I face Rajas. We could end up with 1 through 5 all being 4-1 if he beats me. So Similarly to y'all over there,
that's chaos. Right there.
Yeah, we've got chaos at the top, not the middle. So, yeah. And then Willigan and Freak Show both yet to play their week 5, so they could end up either way. But for the most part, we're pretty balanced. The skew is pretty similar to what you'd expect. We've got a couple teams at the bottom, and so. Yeah, we'll see what happens to complete week 5.
I know one thing that I noticed from just going through all the different games for these first 4 weeks is that it's like every week seems to have at least like 3 or 4 like really, really good matchups. It's not just like, okay, this is the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
I know we were trying to figure out and do like match of the weeks and stuff, so it makes it a little bit challenging when you have so many matchups to choose from that are good.
After looking at those standings there, do we want to look at some of we're almost halfway through the season here, some of these league leaders and stats just at the top?
Sure. Yeah, why don't you take it away?
So we've got here at the top, we've got a lot of pink at the top of hits. We've got Chico leading with 14, and then quite a few tied between 10 and 12, or quite a few. You got 2 Fishes and Sydney and Leah both at 10, with Davey Marion all from pink teams. And then you got 3 tied at 11, 2 Royals there. So Nate's Royals, Liz, Kinghorn, and Pete Wheeler, both with 11, tied with Stan Olafson of Schwilly's Cardinals. And then Stuart Sullivan in second, Loba's Marlins, he's got 12. You're going to see a lot of those same names here on singles because those people are getting hit. So you've got Stewart, Chico, Sydney, Weber all on down the line, Liz Kinghorn there. So 12 of all of Stewart's hits have been singles. Is anyone surprised? I know I'm not. Chico has 9 singles and 14 hits total. So we've got a bit of a skew there. Here doubles, we start to see some new names here. We've got 3 Phillies on this list. Orlando Stars Phillies. Sarah Maxwell with 5, tied for the league lead with Rachel LaBuena, who is going to come from Killer Bats Orioles. And then we've got Tanya Uchida of Freak Shows Expos with 4, tied with 2 of Orlando Stars Phillies, Ezra Travolta and Barry Bonds. And then your last 2 tied there at 4, Emily Lubel of Schwilly's Cards and Star Moonbeam of Trigga's Devil Rays. So we don't have the Rays here. We've got the Devil Rays. Triples, we've got a few. We've got 4 people leading the league with 2, and I'll leave it with that because we got a whole bunch at 1. We've got Julie Dunkel of the Athletics, Adam Van Doren of the Marlins, Pete Wheeler of the Royals, and Fred Benson of the Reds, all tied with 2 triples there. Home runs, we've got quite a few people here on this list, quite a few with 2. I'll just stick to the top 3. Leah Wayne, we think maybe hard carrying those HC-led fishes with 8 home runs through either 4 or 5 games. And then tied for second, you've got Zena Fromm of the Angels and Chico Papas of the Monsters with 5. So Chico Papas has 9 singles and 5 home runs. It's all or nothing for that man. Moving on, extra base hits. You got some sense of that through. Well, we do have a couple Orioles here that maybe weren't listed there. Zenon Estrada with 6. Quite a few people in the mix there, though. Leah leading. And then RBIs, really just going to talk about Leah. Leah is leading all players in RBIs by 11. Leah Wayne has 20 RBIs. The next closest is 9. So running away with that. Runs scored, we got Leah Wayne with 9, tied with Cheryl Reynolds of my Wombats. So those 2 leading the league in runs scored. You've got 3 more at 8, Keisha Phillips, Pete Wheeler, and Chico Papas. And then on down the line there. Walks, if you want to know who's drawn all those walks, it's the Iceman himself, Nate's Parker Collum of those Royals. And then second place with 3 walks, Tracy Hoban of Schwilly's Cards. Everyone else either 2 or 1. Bunch of people not striking out, not going to get into that. I'm not going to put anyone on blast or striking out a lot. You can go look at the list yourself. Really only 2 people here of mention when it comes to stolen bases. Stuart Sullivan of Lobos Marlins stealing 7 bags, closely followed by Chico Papas of the Monsters. Those scatty Monsters, Chico is doing what he can for that team. 6 stolen bases, 5 home runs, leading the all players in hits. He's doing a lot. So a bunch of people not making errors. That will change. Total bases, obviously, y'all knew Leah Wayne was going to be leading. Chico hot on her tail with 29 total bases. Leah leading with 35. And then on down the road here, batting average and on base percentage both led by my Cheryl Reynolds of the Wombats. Stuart Sullivan follows in second place in both categories. Chico Papa, Sydney Weber, Leah Wayne. So that top 5 is going to be the same for batting average and on base percentage. 2 fish in that top 5, which is impressive to see. So Sydney Weber says, "Don't forget about me. I'm on HC's team as well." Leah Wayne far and above the league leader in slugging percentage and on base plus slugging. Slugging, the only one slugging over 2,000 at 2,500, and on base plus slugging at 32-33, far and above the leader there. HC thinks she's a runaway for MVP. Someone's going to have to step in and prove him wrong. Otherwise, I think he might be right. So just to highlight a couple pitchers here, Wing Quan has allowed the least amount of hits. Leah also doing it on the mound, but Wing has only thrown 14 innings, but has allowed the least amount of hits. So I'm wondering what the qualifier is on this. Leah only allowed 3 runs through 27 innings. The only other player to allow only 3 runs, Frank Thomas, but only through 19 2/3. Angela leading the league in strikeouts by 1. 24 through 27 2/3 innings. Wing Quan, 23 Ks through 14 innings. So Wing putting up really good stats despite only throwing about half the innings of some of the league leaders. Jay Green in third there with 23 Ks through 26 innings, and then 22, 21, 20 on down the line. Walks, quite a few people not throwing walks. Not going to talk about pitches thrown. Okay, here you go, Nate. Ivan King leading the league in innings pitched with 30. Amanda Hellerman in second with 28. And so last things we'll touch on is the ERA leaders, going to be Leah Wayne through 27 innings at a .67, Frank Thomas 19 2/3 at a .92, Christina Beatty through 23 innings at a 1.04, and down the line, obviously, in decreasing order, Leah Wayne also leading the league in WHIP, .96 through 27 innings, followed by Fernando Diaz with a 1.12 through 19 2/3. some of these teams. Wing Quan there hot on his tail. So what we're seeing here is some of these teams are going by committee on the mound, while others are just riding a workhorse. So whatever works best for your team, continue to do it. But those are some of our league leaders, and hope that didn't bore y'all.
One thing I just thought was really interesting when I was looking through this as you were going through it is that Tracy Hobon has a stolen base.
See, that's what we need. We don't need to talk about who is leading. We need to talk about the funny ones. I think that's what we need to do. Where is that?
Like, that's just like, because you wouldn't think that Tracy would steal a base.
No, you wouldn't. Angela's got a stolen base on that same team. Schwilly, tell us how you're doing that.
Yeah. How did you get a steal of Angela and Tracy Hobon?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, everyone else pretty much makes sense.
Robbie with a stolen base. That's another one.
Breaks my heart what I saw about Robbie in RBBL chat today. We don't need to get into that, but
also, I guess Ezra with 2. That's a shock.
That is a shock. Yeah, and that's Orlando Stars. And I'm wondering if that's just, I think, and without going into too much detail, I think the team I just played ran just an okay arm behind the plate. I think Personizzle's catcher, it might be A-Rod. I don't know for sure, but it's not an arm that's overwhelming. So,
but yeah, there's some funny ones if you really want to look into it.
So does that do it for our Humongous League, Nate?
I think that does it. Unless there's anything else that you can think of that stands out.
No, I think we maybe hope to not do 4 weeks at a time to maybe go into a little more depth, but we appreciate y'all's patience and hope you give us a listen.
Yeah, so the next one, probably at most we'll be doing 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then goal is to be able to do one week at a time, but more
eventually
in depth with each game.
Yep.
Yeah, and it'll be a lot easier to remember what happened
that too,
instead of what happening from a month ago.
Right.
But yeah, going on to the junior league. Most of these players are rookies, with a couple exceptions. That played, a couple of them played last season, but the majority, all these players are rookies. So, be some kind of higher scoring outputs than what we typically have been seeing in the Humongous League, but that can be more entertaining as well. So, definitely, if you guys see any of the junior leaguers playing, make sure you guys check them out either on they're streaming on Discord or for the Junior League Match of the Weeks. So week 1, we had Quundy versus DH34. This was week 1's Match of the Week for the Junior League, and it did not disappoint. Close game, 1-0. DH34 pulls it off and with his Yankees.
Second matchup, we've got Maria Luna Fan 22. Do we know if Maria Luna Fan 22 drafted Maria Luna, Nate?
I can check. No, they did not.
That's super disappointing. I'm sorry, Maria Luna Fan 22.
Are you really a Maria Luna fan if you didn't draft her?
Well, unless Maria Luna went before they picked in the first round, but I don't think that. Anyways. Clearly didn't matter for Maria Luna Fan 22 because they take this one 17-1 on the road against Zior Box's Mariners. So huge output to start that season. I'm feeling good after a week 1 performance like that.
Yeah, next game we got JTS and his Pirates putting up 12-0 against Colby. Colby is one of the veterans that played last season. So a rough start to their second season, but a good start for the Pirates and JTS.
Another strong output here is from a late RBBL sub Madoc taking on the Tara Stark. 13-6, Madoc takes this one on the road. Tara Stark, if you hear this, I'm a Stark fan from Game of Thrones. So the North remembers. If you know, you know.
Yeah, and then that does it for the strictly backyard division games. They got the interleague, because there's doesn't the math doesn't split out evenly. Each week there will be one interleague matchup. And for this one, it was, I always forget, cannot say his name.
I would say Irakaz or Irakaz, but I don't know if that's right.
I know I've heard Wyrakaz or whatever.
Okay, I could see Irakaz.
So yeah, I always struggle pronouncing the name, but regardless of how you say it, they still won 9-8 over Shunkin Jr. That's another one I don't know how to say either. So
Shunkin, like pumpkin.
Oh, that's fast, probably how it is. Yeah, but a good matchup, a high scoring affair there, 9-8.
Yep, it sounds like that one was a good game. First matchup of the front yard division, Ricky Ricardo gets a forfeit against Prob. So Prob, we will see Prob in the future, but Ricky Ricardo takes this one on a 0-0 win.
The next up we had Mike Madness. For those of you that know, Amanda Hellerman and his RBBL team just broke the strikeout record. I believe it was 148 for the Hellcat. So Mike Madness doing his first BBL game against Evan, who in early scrimmages and stuff has shown to be a really great player. So that was a really good week. One matchup that Evan pulled off the win.
Next, we've got Cherry taking on Steel Eye at Big City Stadium. Steel Eye takes this 9-3 in a strong week one game. Cherry still 3 runs, nothing to scoff at. Scoring runs in online isn't easy, so good to see both these teams putting up runs in the week one matchup.
And then the last game was STL Suz against Lil Waz. Lil Waz was a sub for the RBBL, but played I believe the entire season. Just didn't draft their team, and did really well with especially with Ahmed, and his proving that his offense is not just strictly to the offline game modes. The offense transferred over to online as well. 9-1 in this one. Really good output for his first WBL game.
Yeah, so moving into week 2 for the Junior League, we've got in the backyard division, we've got DH34 traveling to Steel Stadium to take on Box's Mariners. Box finds a way to put up 4 runs, improve on that week 1 performance of only scoring 1. But DH also scratches out 8 here and moves to 2-0 with an 8-4 victory.
And next up, we have Maria Lunafan and Quandy going at it. This time it was at Ekman, the home field of the Melonheads. And the Melonheads take this one 3-2, and that is Quandy's first win, and both teams moved to 1-1 on the season.
Yep, hard fought that one looked like. Next we got Colby. So like Nate said, back for another year in BBOL. Traveling to Ekman to take on the Tara Stark. Tara Stark with 2 decent outputs in week 1 and 2, 6 in week 1, 4 in week 2, but Colby takes this one 6-4 on the road to move to 1-1 and get his first season 3 win.
Next up, we got Shunkin against JTS, and looks like Dirt Yards did Dirt Yards things, and JTS prevailed in this one 9-2.
Next, we have our interleague matchup. So that did it for the strictly backyard matchups. We had STL Suz, maybe St. Louis Suz, coming from the front yard division, traveling to Super Colossal to take on Maddock and the Sox. Maddock moving to 2-2 here with a 7-4 victory at home against STL. So STL, better output than week 1 with 4 versus 1, but moves to 0-2 here with that loss.
Yep, and moving on to the front yard division, we had Prob and Evan. Looked like this was a really close game at Playground Commons, and the Twins take this one just by a run, just barely squeaking it out.
Next, we got Ricky Ricardo, who actually got to play a game in week 2, hosting Mike Madness at Parks Department number 2. Ricky Ricardo with a good score, showing that even taking off week 1, that they weren't rusty, pulling off the 7-2 victory against Mike. Mike scoring a few more runs than he did in week 1, but still taking that loss. So Mike moves to 0-2, Ricky Ricardo to 2-0.
And I believe, Ricky Ricardo is the one that drafted Maria Luna.
First round?
Second round.
Maria Luna fan, you're slacking. Unless Maria Luna fan picked in the top 10, I would be okay with it. But
yeah. Next game was Heracaz putting up a 12 spot in this one at Steel Stadium. That's a really good offensive output. I believe that moved him to 2-0 on the season with that one.
And our last front yard division game, Lil Waz hosting Steel Eye. Steel Eye coming off a big week 1 win. Doesn't manage to get anything going against Lil Waz on hosting there at Big City Stadium. Lil Waz moves to 2-0. And again, like you said, Nate, a proven player. So hopefully we see Lil Waz have success in the BBOL this season.
Yep, and so we move on to week 3. Got DH34 and Maria Luna fan, another great game. Maria Luna fan just barely squeaking by in this one, 5-4. So looks like that. Even though there are some, blowouts, there's a lot of good close matchups in this league as well.
Yep. Another pretty close one. JT hosts K1D at Dirt Yards. JTS takes the win 3-1, which is a low-scoring affair for Dirt Yards, but moves them to 3-0. And another close matchup for K1D. 2 one-run matchups in week 1 and 2, and a 2-run matchup in week 3, but doesn't manage to find a win there. Moves them to 1-2, the Melons.
Now I'm trying to quickly see. Okay,
what happened with Jibbo?
Okay, that's Colby. Okay,
yeah.
So Jivo took over for Colby's team for week 3 and week 4. Won 15-1. I guess Jivo not playing on baby mode this time. I guess that not playing on baby mode allowed him to score 15 runs.
You know, Nate, I'd argue playing in the junior league, he is playing on baby mode. Who let that man play in the junior league? Shame on you, Jibbo. You're an admin and everything. Next, we've got Maddock in taking on Shunkin on the road. Shunkin hosting Maddock there at Playground Commons. And Shunkin has put up less runs each week after that week 1 performance, putting up 8, 2 in week 2, and then a goose egg in week 3. And Maddock moves to 3-0 with another great output. I think that's somebody who we will see have success in BBOL and RBBL moving forward. That I think they're bought in.
I know this isn't related to RBBL, but I'm really interested to see how Maddock does with drafting his own RBBL team
and the CRK.
Season.
I'm glad to have 2 newbies already. You're getting hungry for it.
Definitely very hungry, if you can tell by how much they've been diving into everything. I really like to see that.
Yep. Real engaged. Yep, I agree.
So next up, we got Prob and Mike Madness. Mike Madness getting his first win, I believe. 5-2 at Cement Gardens. So maybe Mike figured something out, and this was at home. So maybe Cement Gardens is what his team was built for. And I think he drafted his team specifically for Cement Gardens as well. So it'll be interesting to see if Mike Madness gets a lot of more wins or success at home.
Yep. And so next we've got Cherry taking on Ricky Ricardo. Cherry taking on Ricky at home, Steel Stadium. edging out Ricky with a 5-4 victory. That's Cherry's first win on the season. Ricky coming off a 2-0 start. So Cherry gets off the schneid there with a 1-run victory, and Ricky moves to 2-1. Good output on both sides. For Steele, maybe not the best, but looks like that was a good matchup.
Yep, and then Evan 2-1 over Steele at another really close one. But Evan keeps showing that he's a really good player, and moves to 3-0 on the season.
Next, we've got St. Louis Suz taking on Iroquois. Looks like it was a late matchup that maybe admin approved, so I will just move past that because we don't have a result and move on to our interleague matchup, which was the Terra Stark coming over from the Backyard Division, taking on Lil Waz at home at Big City Stadium. And Terra with a tough start to the year, and then having to play Lil Waz is pretty rough. So Lil Waz takes this one 8-0, stays undefeated. Terra yet to get a win, but has scored runs in both week 1 and week 2. So things may look up. So
yeah, and that did it for week 3. That one result still to be determined. But week 4, Hibbo the Jibbo again allowed to play in the junior league. 4-1 against DH34. So a little bit closer matchup in this one, but Jibbo taking over for subbing in for Colby in this one. Won both games.
That's all you could muster on baby mode, Jibbo. 4 runs. Next matchup, we got Quundy taking on Ziorbach. Ziorbach's traveling there to Ekman to take on the Melons. Quundy takes this one 7-0. 7, a great output at Ekman. Zior continues to struggle a little bit, but stick with it and reach out for advice if you need it to the people. And as always, have fun. But Quundy takes that one 7-0.
Yep, and then another matchup of 2 good players so far early on in the junior league. Maria Luna fan winning 8-4 over Maddox. So that's a really impressive result for Maria Luna fan, giving Maddox his first defeat.
Next, we have the Terra Stark taking on what looks like Shunkin sub Burger Planet, not to be confused with Pizza Planet. Burger Planet takes this one 6-3. Terra Stark with a nice bounce back, putting up 3 runs after that. Goose egg in week 3 against Lil Waz, but can't find enough to get it done. Burger Planet takes this one 6-3 in Shunkin Jr.'s stead.
Yeah, and Burger Planet has played a lot of ranked games. That's another opportunity for people to play. If you did not have opportunity to sign up or just joined the community kind of like mid-season, if you want another way to play competitive, ranked play is a great opportunity. There's several different tiers 3 different tiers of players. I don't remember exactly who's on what tier, but you have to have you can only have 3 players of tier 1, 3 players of tier 2, and 3 players of tier 3. Or you can drop down tiers, but you can't.
No more than 3.
Yeah, no more than
of
3,
and no more than 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want an opportunity to play competitive, that's a good opportunity, and you don't have to have any commitment. You can just play whenever you want, as long as somebody else wants to hop on and do a few. You're free to go, and you don't gotta learn any generic players. You can just play with the normal 61 players that the pros and backyard kids.
Yep. And still good to just get some of those online mechanics down too if you're new to that scene.
That's a good point. Yeah, but the front yard division for week 4, Prob getting a W, getting in the win column 5-1. I believe that's the first win for Prob. So congrats on that.
Next, we've got Evan traveling to Parks Department number 2 to take on Ricky Ricardo. Ricky Ricardo coming off that hard 5-4 loss in week 3 to Cherry. Evan just rubbed salt in the wound with a 17-7 win.
Holy moly, that's crazy.
Yep. A lot of runs there. Parks maybe helps that, but Evan continues to roll, moves to 4-0. Ricky 2-2, but Ricky's putting up good outputs. I would believe in what you're doing, Ricky. Just stay with it. Evan, clearly a proven player in this league already.
Mike Madness against STL Suz or St. Louis Suz. Not sure if that's what it stands for or not.
I'm just guessing.
Probably a good guess. Mike Madness and his Mets putting up 13 runs to St. Louis Suz 9. Both high scoring output at Park, so those two games are definitely high scoring, but Mike pulls this one out for another win.
Next, we've got Lil Waz, and he moves to 4-0, taking on Iroquois at Playground Commons. So that's a 9-0 victory from Lil Waz. Not sure what happened with the Week 3 St. Louis Suz Iroquois matchup since they both have Week 4 results, but none of my business. And Lil Waz continues to ride high.
And the last game for Week 4, and I believe this was the match of the week that we just had on there. JTS winning 3-2 in extra innings. So that was a good game. I don't know if it's been transferred over to the YouTube yet, but it will be shortly if it's not. So make sure you check that out when that if you missed that one.
So that's going to do it for all of the Junior League results to this point. They're 1 week behind the Humongous League. And so let's move into the standings.
Yep, take it away.
So in the backyard, you've got JTS at 4-0, closely followed by Maria Lunafan, Madoc, and Colby all at 3-1. Granted, 2 of those wins were by DeHibo, but we won't hold that against him. That is where the playoff line ends. Right after that, you got 2 teams at 2-2 with DH and Quundy, and then Shunkin, Terra, and Zior round out that backyard division. There's a lot of season left, about 1/3 of the season, so nobody's out of it. Continue to chip away and make adjustments if needed.
Yep, for sure. Then the front yard, you got Lil Waz and Evan both at 4-0. I don't know exactly when that game is going to be, but that's going to be exciting, especially if both of those teams are undefeated at the time that they play. So that's really going to be a game to watch for sure. Then you got Uraquez with 2-1, granted that he hasn't played his Week 3 game yet, and you got Ricky Ricardo, and interesting that it said that Mike Madness is 1-2. I believe that should say 2-2. It must not have been updated yet on his one.
Yeah. Everyone else, oh yeah, it looks like maybe, no, everybody else is updated, except the one matchup we're missing. So yeah, that probably should be 2-2.
So yeah, so that means Ricky and Mike are tied at 2-2. And then there's a possibility of everybody else tied at 1-3 with the result possibly between STL and Uraquez still to be put in there. So a lot of good matchups, a lot of good competition here. So it'll be really interesting to see. Will the favorites or the people that are currently in the lead be able to continue this for the rest of the season, or maybe we'll have some mid-season and late-season comebacks. Maybe we'll find the BBOL equivalent of second half Chris.
That's it. So moving into league leaders for the Junior League, we'll probably touch on these maybe a little bit differently than we did last time, but you've got 2 expos at the top of both hits and singles, and they're different expos. You got Cheryl Reynolds with 11 hits and Stuart Sullivan with 9 singles. Cheryl not even listed on that singles list, so she must be doing a lot of extra base hitting. Come to find out, yes, she is. So she's got 3 doubles and 5 home runs, but 2 Pirates atop the doubles list, both tied with 4 in Chico Papas and Jessica Wassersauce. Jessica Wassersauce also leading in triples with 2. She's the only player to lead with 2. So 6 of her 10 hits are extra base hits. 7 maybe. Does she have a triple? No, she doesn't. But anyways, home run leader standing alone at the top is going to be Tanya Lesko. So you got the Canseco clone there, followed by Cheryl Reynolds and Pablo Sanchez, everybody's favorite, tied at second with 5. Cheryl Reynolds also atop the extra base hit slits with 8. RBIs, quite a few there at the top. Tanya Lesko leading with 11, followed by 3 with 10. Iceman, Parker Collins, Zenon Estrada, and Dmitry Petrovich, a name you love to see.
That's an interesting one.
10 RBIs on the year for Dmitry.
Dmitry just had a birthday yesterday, too.
Happy belated, Dmitry. I'm looking here to see what other list he might be on. He's not on. He's got 4 home runs.
Oh, wow, that's really impressive. I don't know exactly who has Dmitry.
Cement Gardens?
But having 4 home runs with Dmitry is really impressive this early in the season.
Yep, I agree. So at the top of the run scored, you got Wassersauce utilizing those extra base hits, and Cheryl. Cheryl seems to be at the top at a lot of these lists. Bunch of people that have drawn 1 walk, strikeouts, most and least. No. At the top of the stolen base list, you got 2 big-time runners in Kathy Wolf and Stuart Sullivan, both with 5 bags apiece. Couple with 3, including Cal Ripken Jr. and Mr. Clanky, both of the Yankees. And Grace Tipton, a pitcher for the Pirates. Pitcher stealing bags out here. Not sure if Grace is throwing for the Pirates, but...
Joe Sindo with a steal.
Whew. I just want to... Yeah, you love those people who shouldn't be on the stolen base list. Yeah, that's funny that you're looking at that. Karen Donato with 2 bags. One thing I want to touch on, Tanya leading the league in RBIs and home runs, also leading the league in errors made with 9 through 4 games. I don't know where she's playing, but we need to figure that out. Tanya and Cheryl tied with 29 total bases atop that list. A massive 846 batting average for Lesko. Pablo Sanchez, the only other player above 800 with an 818. And Cheryl coming in third with a 786. No one else really close to the 3 of them. Lesko and Pablo both on base over 800. That matches until we get walks. But you got 3 players slugging over 2,000. I'm sure you can guess. It's Lesko, Pablo, and Cheryl Reynolds. And then 2 of those 3 on base plus slugging over 3, with Pablo right at 3 and Lesko at 30.77. Nate, you want to talk about pitchers? I feel like I just ramble.
Yeah, sure. No, that's kind of what it gets down to, is kind of like that. Batters faced least is kind of a interesting mix of players, because you got some players that you would expect. Like, you got your Kurt Schilling, you got your Nan Porter, your Kenny, your George on there as far as pitching. But Rachel Abuena pitching, Susan Gore pitching, it's kind of interesting, kind of stands out. Runs allowed, some of these players are also on the least batters faced least, so statistically it makes sense. If you're not facing as many batters, you're not going to give up as many hits. Randy Johnson, Case Frone, leading the league at 32. Is there any other that kind of stands out? Ronnie Dobbs pitching, that's interesting. That fastball, really good for speed runs. Shout out to Itanium and his speed runs of this game.
Mm-hmm. One thing I'm looking at, there's not a single player that has thrown every inning. Well, maybe that depends on home and away a little bit.
I guess that could be, because if you're at home and you win, you could play 5 or no, or if you lose,
yeah, you only throw 5 innings. Yeah, no, you still throw 6.
if you lose on the road, you only pitch 5 innings. That's what it is.
Right. Yep. Yes. Yep. You're right. You're exactly right.
Because you would hit in the top of the 6 and then not pitch.
Lance, Frank, and Randy. Yep. Top 3. Yep. You're right.
So it is possible that a couple of these, the top 3, could have it, but
only look at those innings pitched though.
Without digging into too much,
I think the Lance stat is almost better.
Julian and Kurt have not given up a run yet. Even
with 20 through 23 innings.
That is true. That is very low. Yeah, Lance at .26 is probably like only 1 run.
Yeah, you're probably right. All but 1. Yep.
Yeah, and that's most likely every inning. That'd be my guess. Or if not every inning, it's like every inning but 1. So that's still really, really impressive. Lance is giving up some hits, though, that have almost a 1.5 whip.
Which means he's scattering those hits.
Yeah. So that's even more impressive that to have that many walks/hits and to still have a .26 ERA. That's really impressive. Randy Johnson and Frank Thomas have faced the most batters at 101. Ronnie Dobbs is struggling a little bit with pitching. I think everything else kind of doesn't really stand out too much. But yeah, that does it for the stats. So, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of variance in the junior league as far as what the stats are right now versus what they're going to be towards the end of the season.
Yeah, we're almost we're a third of the way through the junior league and about halfway through the Humongous League. Anything else? Any other milestone stuff we need to touch on, Nate? You think?
I don't think that's it for. I think that's it for the BBOL and for both leagues. Only thing that I can really think of is just let me check. I think we have for the next match of the weeks. I think we're looking at Urakaz versus Mike for the junior league matchup, and then for the week 6 match of the week, I think we were looking at Hines and Scatty, I believe. I had to double check on that one, so it might not be that, but that's what I think we were going off of. So look out for that. And then also scheduling announcement. Hopefully we will have some of the RBBL Championship Series, the AL/NL Championship for the 01 League in the front yard and backyard for 03. Hopefully some of those games will be either simul-streamed to the Twitch channel or have a kind of the OG match of the week, so some editing involved with that. So a lot of stuff going on between both leagues, so a lot of content to be enjoyed.
And online BBOL players, if y'all, this is a good time to come over and at least just check out the RBBL scene. I talked to the RBBL people about coming over to the BBOL scene, and obviously I'm new there, but y'all come over to the RBBL community. It's a little different, but it's good community, and you may find it something that you like.
Yeah, some people like one version more than the other, and there's nothing wrong with liking one more than the other. It's just kind of personal preference, but it's really nice to have both options available and pick whichever one or both you like. But I think that's gonna do it. I don't know. Do you have any other things you wanna say or announcements?
No. We'll see you next time, y'all.